I'm Erin, I'm APMP's content manager, and this is On the Record with APMP. Today I'm joined by Rick Harris, someone who happens to know quite a lot about APMP. So Rick, you've seen tens of thousands of people further their careers through APMP's offerings. What is the number one thing you would say to a new member?
Erin, first off, thanks for having me on the record. I love the show. It's great. So one of the things I think there are like 3 or 4 things that every new APMP member should do. Mm-hmm. And what we just don't talk about that enough. So on the record today, we're going to lay it out 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing when a member comes in, the first thing they should do is find a chapter. And it's easy to do. There's like no work involved. When you're signing up, you just go to the drop down and you look for a chapter that is near you or you're interested in. You click on that and you're a part of the chapter. But that's only half the battle. You got to participate with the chapter. You've got to put in a little bit. Doesn't mean miles of volunteer time or hours and stacks of extra work. It just means it gets you out and you network a little bit more, but you're doing it locally. The thing about APMP that most of us love is APMP is an international association with a headquarter office here in the United States, but we have chapters all over the world. So avail yourself of the chapter, and you're going to meet people who are going to be your friend. They're going to help you guide in your career. And then what you're going to do is it just puts you on a ramp toward professional development. So the number one thing, find a chapter.
Great. And you said that obviously getting involved once you've found a chapter is really important. But what's the quickest way someone can get involved in a chapter?
Yeah, I think the thing is, first off, just go to an event, a networking event, an educational event, and get the lay of the land, know the people. Mm-hmm. So just look and then listen to the speaker, see what you're going to do. And if you have a desire to volunteer, then you seek out who the officers are in that chapter and ask them, how do I get involved? How can I be? We're always looking for people who volunteer their services and pass on industry knowledge to others. That is the number one way APMP has built through the years. It's word of mouth inside of chapters, and it is passing along information that people, ordinarily wouldn't know, but as an insider, someone who's been in the industry for a while, you're absolutely going to know. And the great thing about this community, APMP, is that everybody shares. Nobody holds it in and protects. It's a sharing group. That's why you need to be involved.
That makes sense. And after you've joined a chapter, where do you go from there?
Well, the thing is, I think the most important thing that you do as you're starting on an APMP journey, and it's a kind of a double. You get familiar with the website. There is so much content on that website. And actually, I'm going to turn to you in a minute and ask you about some of that content that's on there. But the content that we think it's just go through the website, link by link. There's just rich content, whether it's articles, whether it is case studies, whether it's educational information, papers that have been written, presentations that have been delivered. There is a plethora, so much content. And of course, there's APMP TV. So APMP TV has a lot, but there's also other things like our great Winning the Business newsletter, which I know you're very familiar with.
Yes.
I read it every week just to see or we read it every week. I check in on it just to see what new is happening, who is emerging, who's leaving the industry. It's a great resource. And if I am a new member, one of the first things that I do is I sit down and I pour through the website. It'll take you about an hour and a half, and you'll get a lay of the land pretty quickly. But what you have are best practices all over APMP. We try to make it easy. APMP has always tried to make it easy for the next generation of bid and proposal professional to elevate their career, to go to the next level, to invest in their own professional development. And it's not nearly as hard because if you ever get stuck, all you have to do when you go into a chapter, pick out a buddy and then just give them a call and say, I'm stuck here. What do I do? And they'll have an answer for you. But the one thing, I'm gonna ask you a question. Can you tell us more about our great Winning the Business newsletter?
The Winning the Business newsletter, yeah. The Winning the Business newsletter currently goes out bi-weekly. And we're starting actually a really exciting project where we're segmenting it regionally. So we're trying to get content that targets people where they are, delivering them the news that they most need to see depending on the industry they're in, the geography they're living in, and just making that straight to their inbox every couple of weeks, everything that they could possibly need to know.
See, I didn't even know that. And I've been around APMP
Yeah.
forever, and it makes me even more excited. How am I going to get information that pertains to me in my area, and you're customizing it for me? I think it's great. There's so much information that is available with APMP, all for a really inexpensive association membership dues rate of about $170 US. $170 US and a list of membership benefits that are as long as your arm. It's crazy. APMP is a great place to be.
I mean, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
You're talking about all of these best practices. Obviously, when you first come into it, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. There's so much content that's out there. How do you streamline that then and turn it into something that can actually further your career?
It's a wonderful take. And a best practice, one person's best practice is not every person's best practice. But this is and I want to back up before I answer your question directly. APMP goes out and does research. We do bring together roundtables of members who do bid and proposal work, through the years, day to day. And we ask them, does the research back it up? And then we have them contribute to our body of knowledge. That's how a best practice in this industry is made. Through research, independent research, fortified by key stakeholders who do the work every day. So they're the people that if you don't know them, they're the people who are going to be able to lead you to where you want to be. And they're very regionally focused, as you said. And then you take a look at those people and that best practice, and you say, how does it apply to my business, my work, my company? And a company may look, and best practice number 7 to put together a compliance matrix doesn't fit with your company. You know what we said? Don't use it. Use the one your company uses. Use we want these best practices to fill the gap. What your company hasn't already established as their own best practice, then you can fill the gap, and it's all in APMP's body of knowledge. And do you know what the number one benefit with APMP is? Body of knowledge.
There we go.
So when we're talking about the website, it's on there. It's also called the BOK. I would dig into that body of knowledge and just search. All the projects you have, what are you going to do? Search, 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 search. That's how you build your best practice library and your knowledge. But what we want to emphasize is it's not for every company. We have a lot of companies who have no best practice. It's definitely for them. Augment your missing best practice with our body of knowledge, and that is a tour de force in winning.
I've heard that actually from a lot of corporate members that I've spoken to, and one common thread that they all say is that the knowledge of the best practices and the certification that comes with that makes the people that they hire who are aware of those best practices and who are certified in them far more effective and efficient than people who aren't.
There's no doubt. And all of the research that we've done shows that when you are familiar with your best practice and you validate that through APMP certification, it's a 1-2 punch that will take you as far as you want to go in this industry. You know, Aaron, I know you know this, but we have an industry that can be transient. It's not easy. It's hard. It's challenging, but boy, is it thrilling. When you are putting in for $1 million bid and you win, how does that make you feel? And I know how it has made me feel through the years, winning big contracts, and there's no greater feeling, and you just want to feel it again. The way to do that is to be certified, because APMP certified, because what that does is that indicates to the rest of the industry that you've taken that extra step, you've invested in yourself, and you've invested in the company that you're a part of because you want to be a leader.
Yeah.
And it's so important to take APMP certification, but I have to share something with you. Statistically, if you have passed the APMP Foundation, on an average, you'll earn 7% more than those who don't. Here's where it gets really interesting, the sweet spot. If you pass one of APMP's practitioner certifications, you earn 23% more than those who do not. That's a big jump. That's why we say invest in APMP certification. 7% more, nothing to sneeze at. 23% more, that's what I'm pursuing, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're starting on your certification journey, there are a lot of different certifications to choose from, a lot of different acronyms. Where do you start? What's the difference?
Yeah, we used to only have 3 certifications: Foundation, Practitioner, and Professional. That was it. And then we started saying, well, this doesn't fully serve the industry. And we were getting feedback from members. It doesn't really fully serve us. What more can you provide? So we divided our certification really into 2 different areas. The first is what we call a signature certification, which is a full certification about 75 to 100 questions with a time limit to answer. The Practitioner is a 2.5-hour marathon. It's tough, but when you pass it, it is a great feeling. So you have those as signature certifications. We added a Practitioner certification, and recently we added the Leadership Academy. So you have 4 signature certifications. They cost about $425 each. There is another signature certification called Professional. And the Professional certification is more money, but it's for the elite. If you kind of look at it in the way of university, the Foundation would be a bachelor's, the Practitioner would be a master's, and the Professional would be a PhD. So that's the best of the best. So that's one area, and what we've done in the recent years is we've delivered 5 APMP micro certifications, and we're adding 2 more. And by the time, when you're watching this, there'll probably be several more added. And it's basically shorter, concentrated certification that members can take. So I'll give you an example. You're a writer, so why wouldn't you take the bid writing micro certification? That's your area, so that's your focus. You may say, I don't want to know everything about the industry. I just want to focus on the area I am, which is bid writing. There's a great micro certification for that. Those are abbreviated certifications. Those are certifications that are generally about 50 to 60 questions long. Mm-hmm. They're still timed, and you study for them through our body of knowledge, and then you go in, you pass them if you do, and if you don't, you just retake until you do, but you pass them, and then you have a certification specialty in your area. So there's really 2 kinds: signature certification, which is the bigger play. That's for people who have been in the industry or know they're going to be in the industry for a long time. What we're seeing, and this is an interesting effect that we did not anticipate when APMP was building its certification program, a lot of people are using the micro certifications as entry to the signature certifications. Mm-hmm. I know this may sound crazy and boring, but it is just absolute magic when you can walk away with a certification and then graduate up to a signature certification, and you start earning more money, and you start seeing yourself progress in the profession.
Absolutely.
I think that everybody should focus on their professional development. It's serious. I remember a time in my career where I just didn't. I was waiting for people to tell me how great a worker I had been, how much more money they were going to give me, and they would all recognize it. And guess what? Nobody ever did. Nobody ever came. They were happy that they got the output from my work, but they never really recognized me. Mm-hmm. It's when I started to advocate for myself and say, look, this is what I bring in, and this is what I'm hoping to make. And that's what APMP can help you with through its salary survey that we do every 2 years, through all of the best practices, the body of knowledge. You are well coached on how to position yourself for greater achievement in your own industry. The one thing I didn't mention about the certification I think is important, in many parts of Europe, you don't have certification, you don't get the job. You don't have APMP certification, you don't get the job. We don't see that in the US at this time, but we hope to, because we think it's that important. That you need this baseline, and you're going to have a quicker process, and you're going to win more. There's no doubt about it. When you go through the APMP process, I like to say, it's a personal opinion, you will win more. So these are the 4 things that I think you should do. Find a chapter, look at the website, the BOK, really study that hard. Take certification. Don't be afraid. There's all kinds of practice exams. There's all kinds of help. We've got approved, accredited training organizations that will help train you for that. And, or we just have it, if you want to do it online yourself, you can do it that way. But get involved in that. But more than anything else, focus on your professional development. And I'm going to tell you one thing that I think is important. We all save for the future. We've got a financial thing. We know that. We're born with that. Our parents tell us, save for the future. Make sure you put away for retirement. Why aren't we doing that for professional development? Why aren't we planning and strategizing where we want to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now? When I started doing that, that's when I saw my career take off. That's how APMP helps you. That's how this community surrounds you, welcomes you in, enfolds you with good hugs, but more than anything else, they will lead you to a great career in a really rewarding profession with the thrill of winning that could happen at almost any time.
Great. That's a perfect way to close out. And if you want to just hold up your winning for a living mug.
That's what I'm doing. I'm winning for a living.
Yeah,
I'm winning
great.
for a living with APMP.
Oh, brilliant. That's going to be a wonderful soundbite. Thank you very much, Rick. It was lovely to chat to you today.
Thank you, and thanks for having me on the record.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that.